Alright, what's up guys? This is Joe. This is my first video that I'm doing for Ace Poker Solutions. And, there's just some general things that I guess we'll talk about. The first thing I guess I thought about was that it's going to be different because I've never made a poker video before. And I wouldn't, I guess I never considered before I started to make it that, it's not my session here on Ignition is not going to be private. But so I guess that changes things right away, and there'd be a natural inclination to be tighter right off the bat. But this is my HUD that I'm using with Ignition. It's Drive HUD. There's a couple other HUDs offered for Ignition, things like this, but this is kind of specially made for the US facing networks like Ignition and Bet Online. And it works really well for what I need. It does a lot of things, and yet it's simple. It's what's good about it is you can make it as complex or as simple as you want to. It's extremely customizable. So this just has this filter to some of the hands I've taken this month, and I've been winning well. And a lot of it is, of course, run good. A lot of it, but it's a small sample size. It's only a few, thousand hands over the last couple of weeks that I've played. But it's things on these networks like Ignition are much different this time of day. This is a Monday at 1:05 in the afternoon. The prime time for these networks is usually, of course, Saturday night is the best night. Friday night isn't as good as Sunday afternoon and Saturday night. But of course, the weekend's good. Thursday's good all throughout the day. But of course, earlier in the week, earlier in the day, it's a little bit different. The games are much more reg packed, and there's less fish. But there's still, there's plenty of money to be made. But I'm just going to go ahead and load up a couple of tables. I usually do three to four tables of, 2 to 4 tables of 6 max 10 and L. That's where I'm at right now. And so on this, I'll just do 2 because it's my first video, and hopefully everybody's bearing with me, and hopefully everything's recording properly. If I need to, get some upgraded equipment or anything like that, I'll do that. But I think everything's set up. I just set up an open source encoder to put this video up on YouTube right away. So consider everything a work in progress, obviously. The first thing we'll do here, so of course, is load up a 10 and L table. And one of the things you want to do with these HUDs off the bat is on the US facing networks, especially, is there's a lot of people post on the forums like 2+2 and run at once that they have issues sometimes where the HUDs don't load if they're playing multiple tables. Just let the first table load up completely and do its thing. And once the HUD loads up for you and everybody else, then you can start opening up additional tables. I don't find that it's necessary to do it for each individual every table, but I do find that on the first table you open, let everything load up, then you can start opening additional tables. I find that that avoids a lot of the problems we're talking about here. Now, I don't know exactly how this is set, whether it's recording audio for, if it's got my desktop audio or just my my voice audio. Again, I'm going to double check the video. I wanted to get something out there about this, about US facing networks, about the HUD, about how to maybe get yourself started. And I'll be making more than one video. So, like I said, everything's a work in progress. No rush with anything. But maybe for some people, this would be a good introduction to the software and to the networks that are available to them today, especially as US players. A lot of these networks you can play no matter where you're from. But as a US player, these are your best networks. Ignition's good because we can record videos anonymously. We play anonymously, but it's the highest population US facing network. So you never really have to wait for a game on Ignition. You can't choose your game. It's auto seating, so you can't go through a lobby and pick which game you want. But there's auto seating, so it also makes waiting for games or starting up your session much less of a tedious process. So, but of course here now we're just starting. The other thing that this network doesn't have, that networks like Bet Online and WPN have, is auto top up. So if I want to stay topped up at $10 here, every time like I said, just bear with me, it's my first poker video, but hey, every time I fall below that, I'm going to have to go buy more chips and do it. And you want to do it relatively meticulously because it looks like you're a relative rag. There's different games you can play with, your stack sizes, but I like to stay tapped up. That's what I've always been topped up. That's what I've always been taught to do. And, that's what I have experience with. I don't have a lot of experience with playing shorthand or things like this. But Of course, I'm going to wind up playing much slower than usual, but rather than focus on just the gameplay, because I'm not by any means a professional or anything, but I do play quite a bit now. I think in the three-way, in the 1, 2, 3, 4-way pot here with the odds, I'm just going to call and just see the next card. I'm not going any further with this now. I'll just check. But rather than focus on the gameplay specifically, I mean, there's things like first off, here's the HUD that we were talking about. You can color encode your HUD to be any way that you want it to be. But it's really, that's what I said about Drive HUD, is it's extremely flexible and customizable. So like here, like blue in the numbers in VPIP and pre-flop raise, that's what I have these set as. That pretty much, I'm trying to get that to indicate somewhat of what's a regular and what's a normal, somewhat aggressive to very aggressive player at these stakes on on Ignition. I'm sorry. And Ignition, for those of you who don't know, is sharing the same network with Bovada/Bodog. It's a large network, and like I said, it is anonymous poker. So as you see here, it'll be player 4, player 2, player 3, rather than your name. So if somebody leaves the table and comes back, you're not even going to know it's them unless you can identify their style of play. But, I played that last hand calling like this. I'm going to fold this from the small blind. But like right there, right away, I mean, I'm trying to get it. I'm learning more about the HUD. Like I said, you can get as far in depth with it as you want to. And this is my HUD that I've been working on. It's called Rapala HUD. There was an old fishing lure back in the, it's still popular, but it was really popular back in the 90s and 2000s and before that. But it was called Rapala. And that's the name of the HUD here that I'm working on. And I'm trying to get it to be the best 6 max HUD that I can, so that we can quickly get reads on people. And, so I'm gradually working on it over time, of course, and the color coding and things. But the color coding is good with HUDs. And as you see, it's very colorful and bright with Drive HUD, because you can get quick reads when you need to, but also just because it gives you the general idea of, what's at the table and what's around you, and it starts to become intuitive. But here we'll go load up another table now. I'm just running a little slower than usual on my PC. I've had this laptop for years, and it's a Dell laptop that's just kind of standard and everything, but it was pretty good when I bought it. I've had it like 6 years, 5 years, but it's done me right, and I've never had to upgrade or anything like that, but that's one of my new upgrades here. It's I'm going to be buying a new laptop. I know everybody's all centered about their phones and everything today, but I'm much more of a laptop guy than a cell phone guy, so... But I have things on the HUD now. There's a lot of numbers I just removed. This is my first session after editing this HUD. But again, which like I said, I'm always editing it, always tweaking afters, updates. Freak Daddy on the 2+2 forums does a great job of keeping things up to date. There's a lot of updates. They're quick to apply, but the product is constantly improving and getting better, and he's adding features. But he... so I keep in touch on the 2+2 forums. I look at things on there, but I don't want too many stats on the HUD. Obviously, for obvious reasons. We don't want to get too crazy. As I see here, this is maybe a little bit too much, even still at this point. But I know what they are, because I've been using my HUD for a long time and gradually taking things on and off. So I know what they are. I can look at them, and that's how you want your HUD to be. You want it to be very personalized and customizable, but with a very basic starting point, and that's what Drive HUD does. It's definitely going to be more accessible to the beginner than, say, Poker Tracker 4 or something like that. But at the same time, you can go extremely in-depth, and a lot of things that they're coming out with now are a lot more new wave and next-gen than what Poker Tracker and things like that have, just because it's, they're newer. It's 2018, it's newer ideas, but apparently the Poker Tracker project, of course, is great. It's very professional, and they have a new project coming out that's a combination of the two teams, Drive HUD and Poker Tracker, and Home Manager 2. I'm sorry. So there's a lot of good things, but for these networks like Ignition and Chico, which is Bet Online, you would need a converter to operate Home Manager 2 or Poker Tracker 4. Drive HUD, you don't need that. And like I said, Freak Daddy and the team over at Drive HUD kind of designed these things top down for those networks and for US-facing players. So, It's it's definitely something to take a look at. But whatever HUD you're using, you want to make it personalized, and you want to know what you're dealing with. So different stats, different reads. Yeah, like I said, I'm just playing a little tighter than normal, and these games are much tighter than they were on the weekend. The weekend was bananas, and it is sometimes on these U.S. facing networks. I got to be honest. People are saying that there's no, you know, money to be made in some of these games today and everything, and they're definitely harder than they once were, but they're still beatable. And as you saw on my screen, they're back there. It's a small sample, but I'm winning. But there are a lot of players, U.S. players, who are making good money playing on this very network, and they're putting in a lot of volume. And the only thing I wish is that we had a more competitive rate structure, on the networks that are available to us as Americans. But it does make, at some of the lower stakes at least, it does seem to make people open up their ranges more than they would when they're just sitting and getting rate back. It does change the gameplay environment at these lower stakes. And a lot of times it almost seems to work out where it doesn't make a difference, or it's even better that they at these lower stakes that they don't have the rate, because they overextend themselves a lot. But a site like WPN has rake back, but the games are so much tighter that your win rate is still, the difference in win rate is going to make up for the rake back that you would make, especially at a lower stake like this. So that's pretty much where that stands. But still, it'd be nice if they all offered rake back. They offer us tournament points, and we can accrue those and then buy into tournaments with them. And some of the tournaments are extremely soft on these networks too. So, depending upon where if you think of tournament or not, that could work out to be very good for you too. But I also do know a lot of cash game players don't want to play in tournaments in the first place, so they'd rather have the rake back, obviously. With some of these sizings, with this 3x sizing coming off the button, a lot of videos like Phil Galfond over on Run It Once advocates. Obviously, this is kind of good with the short stack here. This guy with 50 big blinds, I have that there. If he hit a set, he hit a set. If he hit his straight, he hit his straight. But we're not going to let him see another card, and we're just going to get it in here with the overpair. And this is his first hand. I'm kind of surprised he didn't call, to be honest with you. But so yeah, it's probably good that we got the money in there against a short stack. But anyway, the sizing's there. A lot of guys are opening to 25 cents or 27 cents, and the 2.5x to the 3x seems to make absolutely no difference to the average recreational player and the blinds, and you do seem to get more folds. So let's see what I can do here. Just check to this guy. So you might as well, in a game, especially where if it's not super regs, if it's not really good players, you might as well. Here, let's do a little check raise here. We'll go to 60, just at standard 3x. You might as well just raise the 3x, but there's games where you're going to have to make your own adjustments, obviously. That's what the game's obviously all about, and that's what I've learned over time. It's adjustments, 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 and especially in the cash game, it's constant adjustments in-game, and microgaming, and the actual at the tables themselves, but also off the table, you have to do a lot of work regularly to stay in the loop. This is a little X up here. This is player X-ray for Drive HUD. It costs like $10 a year, which is, it's ridiculous, but it's going to take auto notes on players. So it's showing me the boards that certain players do certain things with. See, these are these spots that are really controversial today. Do you call on the big blind? Now, of course, King 8 doesn't play profitably. Midway, these guys are kind of tight, aggressive. I'm going to fold this. But there's a lot more hands on this network, especially during the weekends where you would be calling. See, now we would have flopped really nice, obviously, but you would be calling from the small blind a little more than you would have a couple of years ago, just because there's a lot of limping on this specific network. Like I had some casino players asking, "What's the on the 2+2 forums? What's the best form if you want to mimic the kind of play that you're going to see in the casino?" They say I'm going to start playing live 1-2, but I want to play online to prepare. Ignition's very good in that it mimics, and that you can play, and that there's a lot of limping, that there's things, but you can also play 9-max, 6-max, or heads up 24/7, the cash games. And it's really good. It gives a lot of flexibility. So Ignition's a good network overall. Some people like the anonymous structure. Some people don't. It's different, but for an American, for the amount of traffic that you get on this for how soft the games tend to be, it's, I mean, you just can't not have it if you're going to be serious about your game. Basically, you need the traffic. Um, but, yeah, you know, and that's the other thing is there's debatable, do we use a HUD because we have such small numbers on guys because it's anonymous. Every time they leave the table, your session ends, you don't see that guy anymore. You don't know who it is. It's debatable, you know, on a network where you do know who everybody is. You know, I'm going to open this just because they're folding. It's small, but they're folding 100% from the big blinds, and they're not 3-betting really, except this guy. But I do have an ace, so I figured maybe I'd just try to steal the blinds here. I mean, you can turn the HUD off any time, so I don't really see what the harm is in using it. But really, honestly, for when it collects the data, I mean, even if it's just you don't have the HUD on, you're not paying attention to stats on people during your session, you want to be able to review your session in depth. And a HUD like DriveHUD lets you do that, you know, because you want to be able to look and break down your game and look at specific numbers, especially as your sample size starts getting larger. And, you know, you want to do especially if you're taking the game seriously, you want to have that record of games that you can easily pull up and filter and everything else like that. I actually have been playing quite a bit lately. I haven't been dealt, for me at least, I haven't been dealt aces very much. That's the first time I've gotten action on aces in quite some time. So let's see what these guys do. Nothing I could do if this guy folds, but if obviously whatever he does, I'm going to go over the top of him here. Let's see what this guy did this with. Ace queen. So he should be at 0. There we go. So we hit nice there. Like I said, I mean, but it's softer. I mean, this guy did this with over half a stack. I'm just getting out of this from the small blind. You know, but I mean, it's just like right there. He's just handing you 50 big blinds, you know, plus the dead money in the middle. I mean, these games were not, online games, especially for Americans, were not that soft a couple years ago. And we didn't have as many options. Some of us, like a network like WPN, I'm not even going to get into their own recent, you know, issues that they've had allegations against that network from other players. All right, now we're really deep with this guy, so we're going to set line, obviously. But it was really difficult to make a profit, especially in the micros with the rake structure and things like that. And plus, there's a cash game race. You know, I'm just going to call with the ace-10. It's another spot that I'm not sure of a lot of times because I don't want to get multiple callers with this hand. Let's see what this guy does. I'll lay this down if he bets. It's only 3.5 big blinds. I'll pull one on the street and see what he does here. I got the backdoor flush draw, but I don't think he's really worried about that, to be honest with you. 70 into this point, I'm going to give up and get out of it. But you don't want to be too tight on later streets in these games. But, you know, right there, this guy seems competent. It's only 22 hands, but he's double-barreled. He's got 161 big blinds at the table. He's opening aggressively from early position. I mean, he just seems, you know, you can adjust their ranges accordingly. These guys, even on a small sample. This is going to be a fold, obviously, 4-7. This is very nice. Obviously, the aces and the 10s against this half stack with 86 in there. Obviously, and he could have a 2. But we're not going to let him see. We're just going to raise him here. The pot is 130. We're going to go to 160. And see what he does here. And we just take that down. I mean, just because of this flush draw. I mean, maybe I should have been slower on that. Like I said, different times, different aggression. You know, I'm still working on my game heavily. You know, doing the absolute best that I can to improve it. You know, that's also at the same time here, like I'm really happy we started off good the session because, like I said, it's the first time I've ever recorded. Nobody's ever seen me play poker before. Never played live, and I've only played online. I give this guy some respect there. I like this flop, kind of. But, you know, like I said, I'm by no means a pro. I've never played live. But I've been playing on and off online for about 4 years, 3 years. 3.5 years, I guess. I'm not going to... This guy's really tough. Yeah, I guess I can raise up, too. It's the same thing with the blind stealing. Until they show that there's a reason to deviate, I might as well just raise 3 times from the small blind. And I don't even really have to adjust my sizing. So yeah, take that down there. And then, you know, to get the same... It doesn't really change with a lot of these players. But if you see they start being a higher level player... Now, he checked to me. I said, I kind of like this flop, so I'm going to bet here. Nice, little bit larger, like a 53% continuation bet. You know, I'm just trying to steal these blinds again. I mean, there's times, like I said, they're loose or whatever, but they'll also, I mean, there's all different mistakes guys will make. They'll overfold. I think over on table 2 here, where I'm moving my cursor, that they've been overfolding. This guy's new. He just sat down. The flop doesn't really hit his range well, though, so I'll just size a little. I'll do the same continuation bet on that 34. Again, just size the bluffs a little bit larger. Now, I'm not going to double barrel against this guy because, like I said, he just sat down. I have no idea what his true intentions are. So I check quick. Sometimes I check quick when I have absolutely nothing because I think psychologically, because I know I did, at least when I was a new player, sometimes that indicates that I might be really strong and they're afraid to bet like they were here. See, now with this guy, I am actually going to bet the river. The flush came through. He's probably got, I mean, he didn't bet on the king, if I remember correctly, so I'm just going to bet a little bit larger than half pot here. I mean, I should have bet a little larger, I guess. It's just, of course, anything he calls with, I'm beat. And he folds, so that's nice that we get that. Like I said, there's a lot of spots where they'll overfold. He's defending his big blind there, and Z got a little involved in the hand, but, I post a lot of time. I run it once and 2+2. I post hand histories a lot and study a lot of hand histories. And we'll notice, guys will look at this and say, well, guys from the rest of the world, guys from Europe and everything, poker stars, and say, what is the deal here? Is this a game from 2006? And I'm telling you, there's definitely money to be made. I mean, there's good players on these networks. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm certainly not one of the better ones by any stretch. There's just some players that would, right now, if you hop on these networks, you load up a HUD like this, you start playing and studying, you'll be surprised at sometimes how quick the money can come in because they're just not even thinking in big blinds. Who knows how much money some of them are working with. With this other guy behind me and everything, I'm just going to fold out this 6-5. I probably shouldn't have, but again, we have to always play, I'm up here, so I don't want to get crazy in the session too. I know it shouldn't matter. Again, I'm not a professional, but I do work on my game a lot these days. I'm playing more these days and studying more than I am. When I first started playing, I was in a relationship, and I think a lot of us know how that can go with trying to take poker serious, especially getting in study and play volume. This guy hit his ace on the river. With the girlfriend, especially when we were living together for a while, and it was just a nightmare in reality. It was very difficult to process the poker game, and especially I started at 2-0, like a lot of people, and she wants to know at the end of the day, how much money did you make, after 800 hands? I mean, no matter what kind of a day I had, it's not going to mean anything in her mind that she just didn't understand, that this is, the concept of sweat equity, but I think a lot of us go through that. Or, some of us are lucky, people respect what we do, but let's be honest, poker isn't an everyday job, especially online poker. So, but, and I've never played professionally, but I was trying to take the game as seriously as I am now, and that interfered. So, at this point now, I started again about 2 months ago playing for the first time in about 4 or 5 months maybe. And just to see how it goes, just turn on the HUD, play on these networks, see what goes on with what. And I had more fun with it and found myself more interested in the strategy of the game and everything, and found myself with a better mental game than ever. So I've just been playing. Same thing. I don't say, obviously, we're opening ace 10 from the button. It depends on the time. I'm playing 22-19 here. I'm playing 36-18 here. There's times that you can really. All right, this guy's played 27 hands. He's shown no aggression. He's done absolutely nothing, and he just 3-bet me really light. I think there's a very good chance that I'm dominated by some kind of an ace here. I'm getting really good pot odds, but you know what? I don't know why. I don't usually do this. I don't know if the fact that I'm making the video, I don't know how good I feel about this 3-bet here. I don't think it's profitable, but I'm in position, so I'm going to give it the call, just so he knows that I will call. Because if he checks here, I might, but with the back door on this and the ace, fold the C-bet. I have fold the C-bet and 3-bet pot here. I think that's a really important stat. I think I'll just check in position because he might have just hit his king. The fact that he didn't bet before, he might have just hit a king, but his range is filled with God knows what, but I don't think it's that wide, obviously. He's very tight for these games. I'm just going to fold. this here, just like I said. Now this 130 into 170 where I have nothing going on now. So he makes his 80 cents or whatever. And I hit of course I hit the ace, but it just, I don't know what he has at that point. I don't want to go farther. You want to plan ahead in the streets, obviously. I maybe could have played that hand better. I think a lot of us who play poker are perfectionists by nature, and I think one of the things you have to learn, especially once you start putting in volume, is you can't obsess over it, especially once the hand's over, your play, and you can't get too meticulous, especially when we're talking about a little pot here and there. But you do want to review your game, and you do want to be as perfect as possible, but you want to keep the big picture and focus on just that every session is one long session, and that the money's going to be there on your big hands in games like this. And you just keep your cool and you just play, and you learn and you study. You start looking at hands, and one of the good things about poker study is it really, if you use the software, if you study with a drive hut like Drive Hut or Poker Tracker 4. See, now I'm getting 3-bet from a guy that hasn't seen this time of day. 3-betting is very light in these games. They're playing tight ranges, but they're not very aggressive. So once again, but I don't know how I can't call with nines, but it is 7 big blinds. He hasn't done anything. This time I'm going to give it respect because I bet 3, he bet over 3, and I just think that these guys are tight. This time I want to focus to that. I probably shouldn't have. I don't usually do that on Saturday, on Sunday, the way the games were. I would have never folded that. But these guys were playing 80, 30, 20, and I mean just totally overextending themselves, giving free money away. So it was a different environment, and that's especially on the anonymous tables. You really want to take advantage of paying attention to changing table dynamics, because they do change quickly, and you want to pay attention to who's new at the table, so you don't think the guy that just played 315 hands with you is the same guy when a new guy sits down and he's got 1 and you overplay a hand. You just, of course that's an extreme example, but you want to pay attention to who's who, because we don't have names, we don't have long-term statistics, and we don't have tags that we can identify them by quickly. So, but the good thing Drive Hut has is it has, and nobody else has something like this, and they're going to. I know they have plans to, but I wish they would expand on this more. Is track conditions, and it's gotten better over time. It's pretty good on ignition here. It pretty much tells you how good is the game right now. Now the average pot size is 125 on this table and 367. This is all the way good. This is a much better table, but. These VPIPs and PFRs are extremely low for this network this time of day. I'll play from the small blind. I'm folding. I don't know what this guy's going to do, and he just showed recent aggression. I'm getting off that. This is under the gun. That's a fold. I'll play much more today after this video is done, but I don't know if I play on Bet Online. I play on WPN. Horizon is another great network people should look into. It's Intertops is the US friendliest network, or Juicy Stakes, but Intertops is better. It's got the best rate structure. It's got the best rate back. It's got 36% rate back. It's American friendly. It's been like that for years and just remained relatively unpopulated by Americans. And it's crazy because you guys are leaving money on the table and you're not getting the best rate back option, and it accepts every HUD. Drive Hut, Poker Tracker 4, HM2, and the note. I mean, it's definitely something at this point, 2018. Americans are always looking for good games. They're out there, guys. I mean, I'm naming these networks. They're out there. If you get set up and you deposit money and you start playing and taking your game seriously, I mean, there is money to be. At the very least, I mean, if you like poker, by playing online a lot today and studying and everything, you're putting yourself way ahead of the curve of the average low-stakes casino player, live player. And depending if you play at parties or recreation, if you're at college and you play live, I mean, guys, you're really putting yourself in a position to win on much bigger pots. And you can get in a lot of volume online without really putting yourself in a position to lose much at these lower stakes. So, I mean, it's really nice, I mean, it's definitely, we're talking about things that need to be taken advantage of if you're serious about upping your game, or you just love poker. Don't just take people at their word when they say poker's dead. It's illegal to play as an American. There's no money in poker. I mean, none of that's honestly. And I mean, the best players, and again, I'm not one of them, but the best players, they will tell you that all of what I just said is true. I don't see any reason to be betting here. I mean, there's just, but this is a really nitty time of day. So maybe I'll leave in a few 10, 15 minutes here and maybe just show you some database features of drive HUD and show you some hands from the weekend. Maybe that's an idea to show you just how crazy it was on Saturday night. I played probably for about 6 or 7 hours from Saturday evening into Saturday night. And yeah, these pots are really small. I mean, there was one guy, I should have stacked them 4 times in about 15 minutes. One, I had all in 80% favorite. I took a beat, so I stacked them 3 times. He stacked me once, but it was, I mean, these guys were really getting in there. It was obvious, and sometimes that's what it is, guys, on this. It's got like a casino feel, and it's Ignition Casino. It almost does have like a casino feel, and they're not grinders. Some of them are, not most of them, and on the weekend, very few of them. They won't sit and wait for the right spot. They want to win a stack. Their conception of winning is unrealistic. They want to win at an unrealistic amount of big blinds per 100. Some of them might not even understand win rates. So, all right, with him over betting the pot here, I think it's pretty obvious. He has the ace and he has like nothing. He has 45 big blinds in him, so we're going to get off that. When the games are tight like this and you go up, and I mean, you're just reading the players. I mean, I'm not getting a ton of reads on them. Not a lot of hands are going to showdown here, or for big pots. So, there's no reason to overextend myself. I made a little bit of a profit, but of course, you don't want to ever leave money on the table or worry about money or anything during your sessions. And I'm a little guilty of doing that myself. Now, this guy's still got, he's shove happy, but I'm not going to not open ace-6 suited, obviously. I mean, there's all sorts of possibilities here, too. Now, this guy doesn't like the fold, period. But that's good, because we could flop it in position, right? Like ace-6, nice. But we still blind. You see, I'm stealing 50% of blinds here, 55.6% of blinds here. And again, small sample, but that's pretty much typically how it is. A lot of times you'll find yourself in situations. I'm just going to call with the pocket twos because now I have position. You'll find yourself in a position where the blinds are extremely weak and are folding combined. I mean, almost 90% of the blinds. They will never do any activity basically post flop unless they hit a set pre-flop or let's say flop the nut flush draw or something like that. Like, so, you might get hit by these players once in your games, but once you got them tagged and you know who they are. But again, you're not going to know who they are the next session on this network, but anywhere that it's not anonymous poker, you will, and like, check here, obviously. That's interesting, but I still only have the lowest pair, so I have to be careful, obviously. It's one of the mistakes you make when you first start out is devaluing hands, not understanding the ranks of the flush, the straights, the full house, that you can be dominated and totally topped over, and then you get the reverse implied odds. When I first started playing, I had absolutely no idea, and I lost quite a bit of money. But I was playing 2-0. I never chose to, I don't see how I can't call with 4-1 odds there. This is what I'm saying. I mean, right here we got 6, 7, 8, 4, 5. I mean, we got the gut shot and the backdoor flush draw. I'm definitely getting off the twos at this point. Yeah, good. But you never know. Honestly, there's times that I would play a hand just like this on table 2 on the right here, and I'd have the best hand with pocket twos. But not in this game. Not with the ranges this tight. There's no way that twos was good there. So now I was like worried that I wouldn't have much to say or anything, but I know that these ace wants me to go on for about 40 minutes. Now this guy's just betting pot, and I have a gut shot, and one of the outs isn't good, and there's 2 players behind me. I don't see any reason with a player that tight who just showed this aggression out of nowhere to play that hand. But it'd be cool too is if somebody, again, if they see any obvious leaks or anything in my game or anything like that as I post more videos, that would be great if you want to leave some feedback and everything like that. But at least you also get, this is the great thing, is you get an inside look at the American networks. Player is tight under the gun, with those blinds, I'm going to fold ace-9. Again, I could do more, but these games are very tight this time of the day. And I don't want to get crazy on this video. We're almost at the end of the video. We're at the play time. So, now I'm just playing 2 tables here, so you don't get a lot of hands, but of course these networks have Zoom tables. You can get in a lot of hands. I think you can play 4 to 6 tables at once on this network, unless it's gone up to unlimited. Obviously, King 10 suited, I'm going to open from here on these guys, especially since I've been opening tight. So I'll probably get folds here. This guy's also folding 3 out of 3 steals, but he does 11.13, but there we go, we get a fold. Small blind, going to be tough. Even if we do hit our hand like that, it's going to be very difficult from the small blind to extract value. You don't want to get crazy with your small blind play. A razor fold strategy pre-flop is very good. It at least has a foundation to get started. So some of these hands are going to be relatively straightforward, but what I do want to stress is take your time, use your time bank on hands that matter as the pot gets bigger. You want to really think of villain's range. You want to think of what happened on the previous streets, how you got to where you are in the hand, and where you plan to go with it. You don't want to just make in the moment decisions in poker, especially in online poker, because you're seeing hands, it's happening fast, and you can make a lot of mistakes quickly and lose your mind. But of course, as far as losing your mind, mental game is extremely important. And that's why HUDs, statistics, studying, the more you understand the game, the more you're going to be able to understand numbers, variance, and you'll have, believe me guys, it'll make controlling tilt or even reaching the point of tilt much, much less. And this guy has never stolen before, so I got a6, so I'm just going to give him credit because I don't fold. Well, I've been folded to a lot of steals here, but tight game, small sample. All right, obviously we flopped very well here against this guy. I don't want to go too much, obviously, because I want to get him in the hand. So I'm going to go about 28 here. But I'm going to think for a second. But again, with guys, King 10. Just going to get off this. Have I 3-bet? I haven't 3-bet at all. And honestly, I've been betting like 13% 3-bet over the last few thousand hands. I think I just checked by accident there, but that's okay. It'll look like I'm just trying to steal the pot. Again, my focus, I've never played these, done anything with the videos again, but yeah, that's bad to not bet there, obviously, but we'll see, because I definitely have the best hand. I'm almost positive of that. Maybe we'll get value on this turn because he just hit a 9. Who knows? I have to call with 3 kings, obviously. And he had nothing. So we hit a nice pot there. I got lucky, but see, that's why you gotta just roll with the punches. I clicked back, I checked by accident, but it induces we don't know what would have happened otherwise, but it did induce a shove, and we are leading. And we're only playing half an hour here, not even. And what do we have? A nice little profit. But I don't want to look at the. That's what you start as a good practice to get into too, is not looking at how much you've won or lost for your sessions. It will influence your decisions. Do not do it. If you watch professionals make pro videos, instructional videos, they will not do this. Now, these videos are only supposed to go 40 minutes. I don't want to leave a juicy table like this, but again, it'll be there later. But I'll let it go a few more minutes, and then we'll look at just a couple quick hand examples. I'll just show you quickly what the interface looks like for the database. See what this guy's thing is. What's weak with I don't see any reason to not call here and just see, this is the thing with players this bad. You want to see flops with them. So if it's that cheap and I can get in, I don't see any reason not to, because if you do hit, they will make massive mistakes post flop. So, and I'm not saying you see me playing tight. I'm not saying open every hand against them or play every hand against them, but I'm saying you want to give them a chance to make mistakes against you. So I got a 7, a 6. I don't have a lot. See, they're folding just around the table to under the gun. These guys are very tight. Okay. Got a nice hand there, too, again. Obviously, we're going to... Now we hit our straight. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He does not have a flush. We have the best hand. So what we're going to do here is just bet for value. I want to get the value. So just bet a little bit from half pot there. This guy's been tight. I'm going to 3-bet him from the big blind. Took down this pot, and then 3-bet to 110 right there. I think he's, we'll see what he has. He's opening from early, so we'll see, and he's tight, so we'll see what kind of, what we're dealing with if he calls or folds, but he did not. But we obviously flopped nicely here with Queen 10. I probably should have done something else on the table too, but I'm trying to. But obviously I want to bet here. I don't want to, it's a relatively dry board other than that, but I don't want to waste too much time here. So we got a half pot and just adjust for that. I think just a little bit over half pot there is good. I'm going to get out of this hand out of position because, it's only ace-2. I still have queens and tens. The flush draw came through. I'm out of position. That's the problem. I don't like how I played this hand, honestly, so far. So maybe we will wrap up the session, considering it's my first video after this. But I am right there. This is, I have queen 10. Tens are certainly in his range. See, now there's heat maps that I'm looking up to see, but I don't have any information. I'm going to check. I just don't see why. I just think I give him too many bluffing opportunities if I bet out of position into him here. Considering that we are almost half a stack sitting in the middle, and we're deep, so I'm deep. I don't want to get crazy with this. A check here would be really nice. It would indicate a lot of. I really don't think this guy's going to check here with a full house. So the 250 is difficult. I can't fold it, but yeah, I mean I can't fold 250 here with top two. I mean, he might have the same thing basically, but this doesn't help me at all that this spade draw just came through. I think I've played this hand a little too quality. I don't know, but I do have to check to him. I can't bluff with the 4 spades, but maybe that scares him too, and he just checks. But I can't really call either, not with the 4, and now he shoves, so that's just a snap fold. He very well might have had the full house. I mean, we don't know what he had, but now how much was that pot? Who knows what it was for? I mean, but you see, that's what happens. I mean, I think I had like $13 or whatever, but I don't know how I played that hand. I do know that you don't want to be too tight post-flop against these guys. Again, this guy's very tight. It's just, I almost wish I wasn't going to continue another stream. It's just very difficult versus that sizing to not continue at top 2, even though the guy's tight. I guess I didn't follow my instinct there fully, but it was definitely wasn't the worst hand ever made. Now this guy's opening again from under the gun. I'm not going to play with him. Who knows? Maybe that was played well. You guys give your thoughts or not? Considering that it's my first hand. I mean, he was out. I didn't consider his position enough. I didn't, I just, but like I said, you don't want to hang on these things too much. I'm going to sit out after this now and end the video right where it was. It was a profitable session. It was a good first session. This is a little tight, as you see here. The blinds up here. I mean, I was lucky I was as profitable as I was against this guy because they're pretty good in the blinds for this network. I don't see the point to raising here. I do flop top pair here, nice, which is always welcome. I think I should check and then defend. Obviously, any bet. Pot or less. Or even slightly bigger. I still think the check is the best play here because I want to get value from weaker hands and I want to get values from that flush draw because it is a 4-way pot and I mean there's got to be hearts out there. So, and I do have a blocker also, but I mean we're not talking about a big hot pot and it's multi-way here. A lot of times bad players will not build value, and I think we all do it as we're learning. But all right, well, now we obviously have the nuts. Basically, we have to bet. So I'll just try to bet something so I look like I'm trying to get in there with like trips or something. But I mean, anybody who has another king also has the full house, but we just chop at that point, so it's really not that bad. We finished this table. We're sitting out. I'm going to leave table. And after this hand, we'll wrap this one up. I think there's going to be, I think so, obviously, it's tough to imagine somebody else doesn't have a king here. That's why, I mean, it's, as again, out of position, tough to get value. The river changed everything, obviously, but we're sitting out, and it was nice to win that last pot there. I just wish that one hand didn't, with that tough big blind, didn't come up, but it is what it is. We're sitting out. We'll do leave table. Yes. Okay, so now, when we're done, go back, here's... I mean, we made a few bucks for the session. It was a short, profitable session, but I'm definitely happy for my first video. If you go in here and you look at Drive HUD in the database now, I'm going to refresh it. You want to click on Dashboard just to refresh after your session. And I have it filtered to this month at these stakes. So it's 32.45 hands. I've won almost $60. It's winning at 17.91 big blinds. Like I said, we've been very fortunate to keep winning, but we are working, studying hard. It won't just happen on its own. But the VPIP, you see that high VPIP, and that's mainly because of these crazy hours during Saturdays and things like that, where there is tons of limping. You can't not call with 12-1 odds and things like that with suited connectors and things from the small blind. I mean, you can't just robotically follow don't call from the small blind. I mean, it's ridiculous, but I mean, it's just a very unusual situation to find games where that dynamic is constantly occurring. But yes, on Ignition and those days and times you will find that regularly. But having these statistics on here, let me just see if this tells me how long this has been running. Um, oh, it does. It's about 45 minutes and 19 seconds, so that's good. We'll wrap this up soon because I know I want to be about 40 minutes, a little bit more. It's obviously better than a little bit less, I think, and everything. So we'll look at this again. My 3-bet is up to 7%, which is about good. That's pretty good for this. I've been 3-betting more. It's been rising. It was at like 3 or 4% for these stakes. So it's been at like 10, 13, 12% lately. So it's been a good situation. Um, but all in all, and here's our EV difference. But honestly, over 32.45 hands, that doesn't really come into play much. I've ran pretty good. You see the difference in big blinds. I can't really complain. I got bailed out on a river ace a couple times, ace king in with queen queen, you know. But look, I'm going to do more of these videos. I don't want to take up too much time. And I mean, this just gives you the basic flavor and feel of where I'm going with this, what the HUD is like, what the networks are like, some basic play at 10L there. Um, this is all good. I mean, I think there's a lot of good things here for players that want to take the game seriously and that want to make money online. As long as you be realistic and you educate yourself on the game, on variance, and you stick to bankroll management and you put the time in at first and understand that it's an investment at that time because later on you could win consistent money if you build the proper foundation. I think there's a lot here to work with. And again, people saying that poker's dead, there's something going on. You see the graphics are beautiful, stable servers, good games. Poker is not dead for Americans by any stretch of the imaginations. It's live in the live casinos. It's live online. So more of us will be making videos like this to get the word out. But you should definitely make a small deposit and start getting something going. And we'll talk more about Drive HUD and software in general in the next video. So hopefully I can go back here to my thing. I don't know why it shows me 8 screens here, but 8 of my little bar here. But I'm still figuring out. This is a open source recorder. Again, I'll be upgrading my equipment and everything over time, so everything will just get better. This is as bad as it got. So hopefully it wasn't too bad, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. And this is Joe again, and making a video for Ace Poker Solutions, and I will talk to you guys soon. Later.